Fitness Gram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues.
Are you ready for the Pacers today, Adeline? Last year in 8th grade, you got 125 Pacers. What are you aiming for this year in 9th grade?
I don't know, man. I didn't run it all over the summer. I think I'm gonna take it easy. Maybe 150?
Wow, you got this. I'm sure your muscle memory will help you despite not running in a while.
On your mark, get ready, start.
Adeline runs about 5 paces before her arms start to feel heavy. She tries to run with them at her side.
5.
Adeline trips and falls, her leg muscles failing her. She's struggling to breathe. Her thoughts aren't processing, and her body feels like it's failing her. At 15, her knees buckle. This is the first time in her whole life when she hasn't been able to run past 15 pacers. She soon rushed to the ER. Doctor, what's happening to me? Why can't I run my pacer?
You have ALS and it's been going on for a couple of months now.
ALS? I think my grandpa had it.
Yes, the cause for ALS is unknown, but there are some cases where ALS is inheritable, especially if you use a blood test.
What's ALS though? I've only heard of Lou Gehrig and Stephen Hawking.
Well, we have to start with how ALS causes neurological death and damage. Let me hand it over to your other doctor.
Wow, have I seen you before? What's your name, doctor? Hello, Adeline. My name is Dr. Adeline, and I think you've seen me before in your period 2 biology class with Mrs. Morrissey, but that's besides the point. There's about 5 main ways in which ALS causes motor neurons to die or get damaged, and I'll only highlight 2 of the main ones for you today. First way is that ALS promotes nucleocytoplasmic defects in the motor neuron, which results in proteins building up in the cytoplasm as they can't enter the nuclear pores. ALS also causes impaired proteostasis, which causes some proteins to misfold and build up. These misfolded proteins can damage and cause oxidative stress onto mitochondria. Due to it being the powerhouse of a cell, this stress leads to breaks in the DNA of the cell and makes DNA repair poor and less effective. This would then cause motor neuron death. The second way is because ALS also causes transport defects and has difficulty transporting RNA, proteins, and vesicles within and out of the cytoplasm to the axon of a motor neuron. Vesicles contain neurotransmitters like glutamate that help signal instructions. ALS either prevents the vesicles from moving through the axon of the motor neuron properly or isn't able to release the vesicle to the muscle receptors, which does not let the signal go through and therefore doesn't make the muscle contract. Wow, that's a lot to take in, but what does this all do to my system? So why can't I run as fast as I used to? Let me pass it back to Dr. Thymine.
Let me show you a model. When the motor neurons die and are damaged in the nervous system, the brain is unable to tell your body to move or run or eat. They can't send signals from your brain to the muscle, therefore meaning you won't be able to show your crazy good pacer speed anymore. Here's a model of what a healthy nervous system looks like and what yours looks like right now. This may be why, while you were running today, you couldn't process your thoughts or think like you usually could.
Wow, it's like my brain is telling me yes, but my body is telling me no.
This is the muscular system. As shown here, ALS affects a variety of muscles throughout the body, all of which are crucial to running and maintaining balance. The muscles are dying out because your motor neurons are degenerating, therefore stopping you from ever running the pacers again. This is what a regular muscle looks like. And this is what yours looks like. As you can see, your muscles look a lot more shriveled up than the regular person, and they aren't able to contract.
Is that why I lost my balance a bit?
The main cause of ALS is because our motor neurons die out and can't tell our muscles what to do, right? Well, without our muscles, we lose the ability to contract and to move our bones because our muscles stabilize and use our bones to balance. Our body will eventually not be able to run or move anymore. The bones are also useless because they are usually used as leverage for our muscles, but in this case, the muscles are also useless. From there, you can tell that reaching your dream 150 pacers will never be possible.
So that's why I stumbled a bit. My bones weren't used to this new activity and lacked muscle leverage. But what about my breathing? Why did I feel like I was suffocating?
We have muscles in our respiratory system and lungs that are affected by ALS too. The diaphragm muscle is the most important muscle we use when we're exercising. When it is weakened from ALS, it gets harder for you to breathe while running the Fitness Gram Pacer test. You won't be able to catch your breath.
This sounds scary, but that should be all of the effects of ALS, right? Some muscle weakness, issues of voluntary movement.
Not exactly. ALS can also have unexpected complications. You can experience unintentional weight loss, as muscles related to the digestive system can also be affected, and muscles in relation to being able to feed yourself can cause food to be digested less or improperly. Breathing issues or COPD can also result, as ALS can affect the respiratory system, as mentioned earlier. With less muscles to hold onto your bones, you can also have an increased risk of fractures.
Could you do a recap, please, Dr. Thymine?
Yes, of course I can. It starts in the brain when the motor neurons degenerate. You might have noticed your arms and legs failed you first during the pacer test. That's because the muscular system is directly affected, as well as your bones not functioning either. Your breathing became ragged because your respiratory systems were not functioning properly either. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but from this point on, your ability to eat, talk, walk, and any other volunteer
This is KTLA 5's news anchor, Cytosine, and we just received some breaking news about advancements in ALS solutions.
Using the models my doctor friends made, we can see that ALS's main target is the motor neurons that activate and signal our muscles to contract for movement. The motor neurons affected by ALS are likely to be not functional, weak, or dead, but just in, it appears like there's hope for this untreatable issue. We know that stem cells have the potential to turn into any somatic cell. Scientists have been using induced pluripotent stem cells, IPS, induced from blood/skin cells that can be used to turn into motor neurons with the same genetic material as the individual to replace or add functional motor neurons, which answers the issue of having little or poor neurons. IPS cells taken from multiple ALS patients can give insights on commonalities and research for causes. ALS drugs can also be tested on these IPS motor neurons. Mesenchymal stem cells can also enhance survival and growth of existing neurons. As ALS causes inflammation as shown in this model, Treg stem cells can also reduce inflammation. Scientists are still testing these cell therapies, but perhaps ALS won't be untreatable in a couple years. Hang on, folks, and don't ever give up. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
And that's about it.
I don't know how I feel about this.
I'll let it sink in and give you some alone time to think. Just know that there is hope for the future to keep fighting. Don't ever stop dreaming of running. And more importantly, don't ever stop running from your dreams.
Sit at the light so long, and then we gotta move straight forward, cause we fight so strong. So when right go wrong, just say a little prayer, get your money, man, life goes on.
I'm hopeful, yes I am hopeful for today. Take this music and use it, let it take you away. And be hopeful, hopeful, and he'll make a way. I know it ain't easy, but that's okay, cause we hopeful.